Unsolicited advice is always worth what you pay for it. But I want to share some thoughts that I have with you guys this morning. And it's going to revolve around this following idea. Don't sell firewood. If you're thinking about getting into the firewood business, don't sell firewood. And you know what? I'll even take that farther. If you're thinking about getting into landscaping or tree service, because I know that there are a lot of you guys out there that watch this channel, don't be a landscaper and don't mow yards. All right? That's my unsolicited advice, and I'm going to explain to you what I mean. But first, hi everyone, this is Joe with Ohio Woodburner. We are a small delivery service here in Northeast Ohio. And today it is cold, man. It was in the low 20s this morning. And honestly, this is the first time I'm feeling firm ground under my feet. It's kind of frozen. It's still not frozen solid. I think you'd kick up a lot of mud if you're driving across the yard. And that's certainly what we have here. Just some few things that I got going on. I got my rancher repaired. It wouldn't idle. And I was bored, so I just went ahead and cut up a bunch of these larger logs into rounds, and I'm going to hit these with the super splitter. And you know, the rancher ran pretty good. It's still not right though. It didn't stall, but it wanted to. And I don't know, you know, you just got to keep on that throttle. It reminds me of my first car I ever had was a Vega, which ironically was orange too, and it wouldn't idle. And I think though, looking back upon it, that's what made me pretty good with machines. You know, you had to stay on the gas pedal at red lights with that thing and to keep it running. I have deliveries going out this morning. This is a half cord of ash. It's going out to a house that's going to have it stacked as well. And we had this loaded yesterday evening. This is supposed to be our last nice day of weather. That snowstorm's coming through. It's supposed to miss us, but we're still going to be getting some snow. And you know, because of that, I've done some tarping with my firewood, and that is just because I know that I'm going to be getting some orders coming in. This is the area that I've tarped off. This will be going out to a restaurant, and we got that snow coming in. I just thought I'd get it covered up. It helps load the trailer, keeps my gloves dry, and it helps the restaurant out too. So, you know, they're cooking over the wood, and they want it to burn and not have to fight with it. I got my trailer empty. It's going to get, we'll be backing it up into here and getting it loaded, and we'll be parking it under the roof so that we don't get any ice or snow buildup in the bottom of the trailer. This is my area that we're bringing all the green firewood into and stacking it on pallets. It goes in straight rows, and this will be ready to go in early spring, late winter, probably around February. So guys, what do I mean by my previous statement? Don't sell firewood. All right, let me share something with you here, and this is something that I've learned. And you know, the first thing is about firewood. What I really like about firewood, the entire industry, there is something in it for everyone. If you just want to make a couple cords and sell it out in your front yard, there, you know, it's enjoyable, it's fun. You get to meet nice people. You know, that's some of the, I think, allure to all of us with firewood. If you want to be a massive operation with gigantic machines and loaders and a huge yard and serious volume, okay, it's there waiting for you. What I tried to do, and this is a guy here who walked away from his 22-year career to sell firewood. And part of it was, my backstory. I first had to take a sabbatical from my career to take care of my dad. And while all that was going on, my side hustle grew, and it kept growing, and it was too big for me to walk away. So I'm still here trying to make a living selling firewood. I'm in my 3rd year, and I'm starting my 4th winter selling firewood. And it's just been a joy. All right. The YouTube thing is icing on the cake, because I had never, ever thought that this was going to happen. But here's what I mean about don't sell firewood. Let me share a story with you. When I first started growing, it started because I said yes to a restaurant. I've told this story before, but maybe you haven't heard this. When I got a phone call from a restaurant, they're a big restaurant, high volume. They go through a cord every 11 days. And I had 6 cords to my name. And they were having trouble finding a reliable firewood vendor. They needed help. They needed someone that could keep them in seasoned firewood. So I almost told them no. And that little voice in my head, though, I remember hearing the old saying, when opportunity is knocking, answer the door. So I told them, yes, I can handle that volume, even though I had nowhere near what I could do. And I went out and I drove, and this is when Dad was still living. We drove around and we bought every cord of firewood we could find in our region. And I would bring it home, resplit it, stack it, and get it ready to be delivered to this restaurant. To me at the time, that's serious volume. I could have told him no, but I told him yes. All right. So I have this friend, and he is a very successful business guy. I've known him for 15 years, and he's kind of become a business mentor to me. And this was when I was, my job was being sent to the Philippines, and Dad had brought up the idea about me caring for him. And this guy asked, if I would like to come work for his company, which I absolutely was, considering. And, the firewood thing was a side hustle at the time. The restaurant thing happened. And I'm telling him the story of what I did with the restaurant. And I also told him about, right after that, I had a friend. He has this huge house with this gorgeous fireplace, and they never use it. And I offered to bring him over just a little bit of firewood, which I did. And it was like the first time they ever used their fireplace. And he thought this was just such a great idea. He says, "Bud, I would buy firewood off of you if you could just bring over a little bit." He says, "We don't want a huge pile of firewood around here, and I would pay you for it." And that's when the little rusty wheel started grinding in my head, and I was thinking, you know what? I had a restaurant ask me, and I was wanting to tell them no, and I told them yes. And now I have a high-end residential homeowner asking if I could help him, with firewood. And I was telling my friend this story, and he says, "Joe," he says, "do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you are?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He says, "Joe," he says, "you don't sell firewood." He says, "You are an entrepreneur." He says, "You're a problem solver." He says, "That's, what I was wanting you to come work for my company." But he says, "I'm serious." He says, "You are on to something." He says that you are the restaurant came to you with a problem and you solved it for them. He says, "You're a problem solver." He says, "That's what an entrepreneur does. They find problems and they solve them." He says the same thing about the homeowner. He says the guy has a problem. He wants to use his fireplace, but he doesn't want to mess with firewood. He says, "You solved his problem." my point is, if you are, just getting into it, don't sell firewood. Be an entrepreneur. Find problems and fix them. Maybe you live in a community that has all bunch of condominiums and apartments where people don't even have garages. Solve the problem. They might, I lived in an apartment in Memphis that had a fireplace in it, and I never used it because there's nowhere to put the firewood. Solve the problem. If there was a service that would deliver firewood on a subscription basis, bundles, clean, so that it's not going to junk up, the carpeting inside, because you'd have to store your firewood inside the apartment. You've solved the problem. You found the market and you went after it. With the restaurant that I dealt with, they had a problem and I solved it for them. I didn't think, at the time, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. It was just something that just came natural to me. When the homeowner, wanted just a little bit of firewood, well, I just discovered a market that I didn't even know existed. High-end homeowners that will pay for small quantity deliveries, and they'll pay a premium for it. And that's why I don't sell to people that heat their houses with firewood, because that's not my market. My market is high-end residential, small quantities. When people call me and they want to buy like 2 cords off of me, I already know that I'm not their service. So I just tell them, and I have a couple people I refer them to, that do sell big quantities like that. So that is what that is the message behind my recommendation to you. Don't sell firewood. Be an entrepreneur. Figure out markets that exist that aren't being served and go for it. Guys, if you have a tree service company, I'm talking to you. If you have a lawn care, I am talking to you. Be exceptional. All right. There are markets out there that are not being met. Something that makes you exceptional, that makes you stand out in your industry. The same thing with firewood. If you're mowing yards, if you're tree service, if you're selling firewood, if you're opening a coffee shop, do something that distinguishes yourself. If you are a lawn care, can you specialize in, elderly? Can you specialize in people that have dogs, and you're a doggy doo-doo operation too? Think about different ways that you can add, instead of avoiding these yards that you don't want to step in dog poop, be a service that, you can capitalize on it. So I'm just saying, don't sell yourself short. All right. Yes, making firewood is a blast. That is something that we all understand and that we all know. Selling firewood is a blast too. And the irony here is, making firewood was always my thing, but man, for me, selling firewood to me is now more fun than making it. And making firewood is a lot of fun. But to me, selling firewood is even funner. Okay. Your Ohio Woodburner grammar lesson of the day, funner. Okay, so that is my message to you. Guys, if firewood is what you want to make of it, but if you are like me, and I know that there are a lot of you out there, because I've talked to some of you, I've exchanged emails with some of you, and what I usually pick up on when someone wants to sell firewood is, they say, I want to get this saw, this splitter, and I want to sell firewood. And my reply to them is, find a market that is not being served, and you can charge a premium for it. All right. With the small quantity delivery,s think about Dr. Pepper here. We pay more for a Dr. Pepper, a 20-ounce Dr. Pepper, than what you can buy the 2-liter bottle for. All right. So the same thing goes for firewood. Why do we spend all that extra money for less Dr. Pepper? It's because you want the convenience. You want to be able to drive down the road and hold it in your hand. And you can't do it with a 2-liter bottle. All right. So we pay more for the product and the convenience of having it. So that's what I try to do with firewood. So that is my message to you for the day, guys. Be exceptional. Be an innovator. Find something that is not being served and go for it. All right. There's something out there that is not being served, and you can be the one to do it. If I have done anything right here with Firewood, I think it's that. I have went after, I got into this with just the idea of just making firewood and selling it. Well, then the very first customer, the first phone call I got was at restaurants. So I immediately pivoted to restaurants, and then high-end residential. It was not on my radar screen, but it happened. And as my friend said, these people came to you with their problem and you solved it for them. You're an entrepreneur. So I guess I'm an entrepreneur, but I can't even spell that word. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. So there you go, guys. That's my message for the day. All right. Listen, we are creeping up on 5,000 subscribers. 5,000 subscribers. And also 500,000 views. So the channel's really doing well. Other people that I talk to that have YouTube channels, they are real happy for Ohio Wood Burner, because we're still not even a year old and we've hit some of these milestones. And I couldn't do it without you guys. I appreciate your comments because they're all respectful, they're all insightful, and it's just a real healthy environment and a healthy community, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I mean that. I want to tell everyone, have a great day.